Hello, my name is Michael Robinson. I've been a firefighter for over 30 years. Um, I want to thank Firebuyer International and Ham Media for allowing me to speak again. I spoke last year at the conference, and I want to thank them for allowing me to return. Uh, what we need to talk about today is line of duty deaths. We need to learn, we need to prevent, and we need to never forget. With that said, I'm going to give you a little insight about myself. I started in the fire service in 1993, and I started with the volunteer department. I've been with two volunteer departments. I was a volunteer firefighter for 15 years until I went to a paid department, which is Rural Metro Fire in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I retired after 15 years with them. And I'm currently working on projects to help firefighters around the globe. We're going to talk today about line of duty deaths, something that's so important and needs to be discussed, and it needs to be brought up in training. We need to add this to all of our training because it's going to help us and give us insight on incidents, injuries, fatalities, and ways to prevent this from happening in the future. This is why this is so important. The problem we're having now is we're having heart attacks with firefighters, which has been our number one killer forever until cancer took over. Cancer is now the number one killer in the fire service, but heart attacks is still a big problem. And not just with firefighters, with everyone, law enforcement, military, the workforce, our children. So we have to focus on this and try to prevent this from happening in the future, which we can do. Because one thing about firefighters is that we are problem solvers. Every call we go on, every incident, we have to solve the problem. We have to fix the problem. And as firefighters, we're trying to do this. And we have to use a number of tools, a number of information that we have with training and to help us perform our duties to the best of our abilities and safely. So with that said, we want to focus on cardiac. We have firefighters falling daily with heart attacks. Now we're talking just about the line of duty deaths. We're not talking about all the injuries and the hospitalizations that are involved with this, the lost time of the injuries from cardiac. We're just talking about fatalities here. And what we're focusing on is vitals. And this is what I've tapped into. I started Heat Seeker in 2011 after my partner almost died of heat stroke at a house fire. That day, I was transitioning from a volunteer department to a paid department, and we had a house fire, and we responded to it with minimal manpower. And during the initial search and initial attack of the fire, my partner and I were first in, and our air bottles went off, and we had to exit the structure to change our air bottles. Now, when we were exiting the structure, my partner fell at the front door, and I thought he had tripped, but he didn't trip. I went to move him, and he was unconscious. So we removed him from the scene, away from the scene. We got his gear off, and we found out he was so red, he was having a heat issue. He was unconscious at the time, and we had nothing. We had warm bottles of water, and this is a problem. So we cooled him off that day, and thankfully he survived. But it really, really set home with me because I almost lost my partner that day. The next day, I wanted to fix this problem because that's what I do. So I went to my truck and I took a blind cap off and I drilled it and put misting nozzles in it. And I turned every apparatus we have into a cooling station with this cap. Today, now this is over a decade. Today, I have this cap in fire departments in almost every state in the US and over 60 countries overseas. I'm reaching out to help firefighters. Now, with that said, that has led me to other directions with injuries, which turns to cardiac. Heat-induced heart attacks is a big problem. Your body starts to shut down. When your body starts to shut down, there's a domino effect. And that ties in to our previous first and second problem we have with fatalities. Heart attacks was number one, slip, trips, and falls. Slip, trips, and falls was number two, which ties together. Because once you start having a cardiac issue, the body shuts down and it's a domino effect. And you start losing focus and you put yourself at risk and others. So we took this is where we tapped into cardiac with cooling firefighters. Because once we can cool our body temperatures down, it's going to allow us to perform better on the fire grounds. It's going to allow us to go back in fresh. So with that said, that has taken us into other directions. We have found a problem to fix heat issues. Passive cooling is a big thing. It's in the 1584 standard. You have active cooling and you have passive cooling. Active cooling is hydration, fluids. Passive cooling is water immersion, misting. This is where we're missing the boat here, because I can tell you now, following through with the second one, with misting and cooling, this is a big problem. We have to cool our bodies down. So with that said, that is the problem we have with heat. Now, our other problem we have is cardiac, and this is where we're focusing on. So Heat Seeker is taking steps to prevent this. We're going to start a program. It's called OperationMayday.org. It's a nonprofit organization. Now, OperationMayday.org is going to allow us to build more tools to help firefighters. It's going to allow us to give equipment to underfunded fire departments around the globe that needs equipment, because this is another problem we have. We have so many issues we need to cover with OperationMayday.org. We have to start somewhere. But this is the overall picture of what we want to do with this. This is all nonprofit. All the proceeds are going to go to organizations that help responders, not just firefighters, law enforcement, military. We're taking it to other avenues as well. Sports fields, our children. I post fatalities and injuries constant in regards to heat injuries, cardiac, and to inform people on what we need to do to fix this problem. Because what I am noticing now, and sometimes I will veer off on things because I want to explain everything to you. Heart attacks. Get back to our heart attacks here. This is the big problem here. We must monitor our vitals 24/7. And the reason we must do this is because we're missing the boat here. We're having so many fatalities in the morning hours. We're missing the golden hour. The golden hour is something so important. We all know what this is. The golden hour gives us 60 minutes to help revive a patient, to help bring someone back that has went into cardiac arrest or has had a trauma. We have a certain window where we can do something about it. Now, with that said, if we miss the golden hour, we're missing our chance. So this is the key for firefighters. This is an example. Most firefighters are dying in their bunks at the stations. Now, in order to prevent something like this from happening, what are we going to do? Well, we have to fix this problem because I want to know if my partner's dying next to me at 4 a.m. I don't want to find out that my partner has died at 7 a.m. at shift change when he's not at the table in the morning. So this is the issue. The scenario. It's 7 o'clock shift change. Where's John? John's not here. Go wake him up. Well, we go to wake John up. John is deceased because John died at 4 a.m. with a cardiac arrest. Now, we missed the golden hour with John. This is where we're falling short. So with OperationMayday.org, we're building products to monitor firefighters constantly, 24/7, when we're on shift, during calls, at training. It's so important. My God, we're having so many injuries and fatalities at training centers. This is just unheard of because of these problems right here. We're not monitoring closely enough. And with that said, if we can monitor our vitals 24 hours a day, we're going to prevent a major cardiac event from happening because we're going to have prior vital changes. Most cardiac events happen 24 to 48 hours after the initial start. Now, when I talk about initial start, I'm talking about I worked 2 shifts, 2 24-hour shifts back to back. We fought 2 fires. We had a heavy training exercise. Now, don't get me wrong. We have firefighters that fall dead with cardiac issues right there on the scene. But I'm here to tell you, majority of our issues are after the fact. So this is telling me that we have a window here. Now, you're looking at 24 to 48 hours. It's up to 7 days sometimes before a major event can happen. Now, even when you talk 24 to 48 hours, that's give or take. So what we need to do is we need to catch this before it happens. So the importance of monitoring a firefighter is that if a firefighter is having a cardiac arrest at 4 a.m. in the morning in a bunk next to his partner that's 4 or 5 feet away, I want to know if this is happening. So how is that going to happen? So the firefighter is monitored. He's wearing a monitor that we're building right now. This monitor is going to set a tone off and an alarm off to every cell phone. It's going to set off an alarm and a tone to the AOC at the command center. This is going to allow dispatch to set out a Mayday tone at the station, on the phones. Everybody's going to know that there is a cardiac arrest at our fire station. And that's going to allow us to wake up, and that's going to allow us to expedite critical care to my partner that is 5 feet from me and is dying. So that is opening a window for us. That is opening up a window for the golden hour. That is giving us a chance and giving my partner a chance to survive. Now, with that said, that's just number one. This is the most important reason we need to monitor vitals, because I want to know if my partner's dying. I don't want to find out 3 hours later, because this is what's happening. So the importance of monitoring vitals is crucial, and it can't be done just 1 time a day. It can't be done 2 times a day. It can't be done 3 times a day. It has to be done 24/7, on shift, off shift, at home. This is where most of our guys are dying. They're dying at home when they're doing nothing, when they're at the dinner table, when they're sleeping. My God, how are we having heart attacks when we're sleeping? We're doing nothing. So this is the problem. So we're going to fix this. I'm telling you, we're going to fix it, because we have prior vital changes before the major cardiac event happens. I know it. We're missing that picture. So with this said, until this monitor is on every firefighter or every responder, which it's going to happen, and it's going to happen soon, but it's not here yet. These are the steps we have to take with the cardiac. We need to monitor firefighters mid-shift at 7 p.m. We need to put them on a 12 lead. 7 a.m. at the end of their shift before they return home, they need to be put on a 12 lead. All of these information must be documented. And this is how we're going to help to reduce something before it happens. This will allow us to prevent a major cardiac event before it happens. Now, this is the haymaker. Now, with this said here, if we're monitoring our vitals constantly, we're going to see a change in vitals. So that's going to allow us to intervene. Because I'm here to tell you, if my partner dies at 4 a.m. in the morning next to me, the evening before that, when he was telling me, I don't feel good, my back hurts, I'm going to go take a shower and go to bed. I work 2 shifts. And then there he goes. Well, what we need to do is say, oh, wait on a second. Let me check you out. Let's check your vitals. Let's make sure you're okay. This is what we must do. So I'm here to tell you, we have to take steps in order to prevent this. And this is how we're going to do it. So this is what we need to do. All departments, all crews must monitor their firefighters and responders closely. So if we do a 3-check period within shifts, that's going to allow us to see a different change in vitals. We can monitor this, we can document it, and we can possibly prevent this from happening. And this is how we're going to do it. Now, that's with the vital monitoring. There's so many other things we need to talk about here. We're having so many issues with apparatus incidents. We're having so many apparatus crashes, so many medic unit incidents and crashes. It's daily. So where we need to turn there is we need EVOC, emergency vehicle operations. We need to have more classes. We need to step this up. We need to slow these trucks down. These trucks weigh a ton. They don't stop fast. Now, you can say, listen, I'm not pointing anybody out here. I've been a firefighter 30 years. I've driven every apparatus there is. I was a ladder operator over 10 years. And I'm not here just saying this. I've never been in one incident, not one. Thank God. But I would, you can say we're lucky. You can say we've had more training. You can say this or you can say that. Speed kills. Slow these trucks down. You're going to get there. This is the problem. Okay. We have to take this into consideration and we have to focus on what's going on here. So EVOC classes, they need to be monthly, maybe even more than monthly, not just once a year. We do cone testing once a year. Okay, look, we have to step this up because this is getting out of hand here. So this is something else we need to address in the fire world that we're going to. With that said, we're going to move on to something else. Cancer. Cancer is a big issue. It's the #1 killer now. We have to come up with ways to prevent this. Years ago, we were wearing our helmets that were melted to our heads. We were wearing our gear that was black. I never washed my gear. I never cleaned my helmet. That was my trophy. That's how many fires I've been in. Look at me. I'm a fireman. This is what I do. But what am I doing? I'm taking cancer home. We didn't know this. We did not know this. So now we have extractors. Now we have things that are helping us. We have great detergents, like extinguisher, that is tested and is really helping. We have to focus on our safety. So cancer is a big address here. And I'm building products to reduce that, by the way. Yes, OperationMayday.org is going to have this. I came up with this in 2016, by the way. I have a way to reduce all emissions. Now we're talking emissions, exhaust emissions. I'm talking about. I have a way to remove it all from the fire grounds and at the stations. And that's coming out too. So we're attacking cancer with OperationMayday.org. Now, another thing is our underfunded fire departments. They're everywhere. I was a volunteer. We had nothing. OperationMayday.org is going to get these departments the equipment they need to help their crews. I've donated a lot of my cooling products to departments that need this. I had a lieutenant of mine, his name is, at the time, he's a battalion chief now, his name is Eric Nofel, a great firefighter. He went on a mission trip to Guatemala with his church. And I said, here, take some caps and donate to the fire departments. He went to a fire department in Chichi-Castanuega, Guatemala. They had 2 fire trucks, two small trucks. I think one truck had maybe 100 gallons of water on it. And they had a crew of like 15 firefighters. This fire department only had one 50-foot section of hose. One 50-foot section of hose to fight fire. I can't imagine that. We complain with what we have. We don't have enough, we always do more with less. So we donated cooling products to this department to help them. My God, they need hose. This is just the tip of the iceberg with this. There's departments all over the world that have the same issues. And we're going to help them. We're going to send them equipment. We're going to help these crews to perform their job. We're going to help them to stay safe. And that's what OperationMayday.org is all about. And we're reaching out to sports fields. I've been doing this for quite some time now. I build products for our children on sports fields, daycare centers. They have the same problems we do. They have heart attacks. They have issues with heat. They have the same problem we do. They wear heavy gear. Their bodies cook. No different. Strenuous activity, exertion. This is the big deal here. So we have to address this, and we're building products to help them. We're also building products to cool canines. Here we go. We're taking different avenues here to help. Number one killer of police canines: heat exhaustion, heat stress. Now, besides cancer. Now, cancer's taken over everything. It's a big deal here. But this is what we're going to do to fix the problem. So we really have to focus clearly on our vitals. And I keep getting back to vitals because this is really, really a step forward to preventing something from happening. I'm not a doctor. I've learned a lot over the years as a responder medically. I'm the one that goes out and picks them up off the field, especially sports fields. So we're finding ways to fix this problem, and we're going to do it. We are going to do it. And I'm here to tell you, I have a lot of people behind me, a lot of big organizations that are behind what I'm doing. We're taking extra steps to monitor heat. Yes. We're doing this more now too, because I want to know temperatures. We had an issue, just one example of a wildland firefighter in California. It's been 2 years ago. He went down in heat stroke. He took 2 helicopter trips, 2 meta flights before they landed at the trauma center. He was so far out in a rural area. 1 hour and 45 minutes later, they landed. When he landed at the hospital, they pronounced him dead. Unfortunately, this firefighter, a wildland firefighter. They took his temperature 1 hour and 45 minutes after he fell. It was 107 degrees Fahrenheit. 107 degrees Fahrenheit, 1 hour and 45 minutes after he fell after 2 meta flights. Wow. What I want to know is what his temperature was when he fell. Because if it was 107 an hour and 45 minutes later, I know it was much higher. So this is a problem. I mean, my God, I didn't know our temperatures could get that high and we could still be alive. So what this says, we have to monitor our temperatures clearly, because this is one of our biggest problems is heat. We wear all this heavy gear to protect us, and it's cooking our bodies. So we're taking steps to reduce this. I want to thank everyone for letting me be here today and discuss this with you. I reach out for allies to help me with this. I need all the help I can get with operationmayday.org. It's going to take an army to get this done. And we're building an army, by the way. So with this said, if you would like to be a part of this or know more about what I'm doing, you can reach me at mike@heatseekerh2o.com. That's mike@heatseekerh2o.com. That's my email address. And we can discuss anything further with operationmayday.org. I would be happy to talk with anyone about what we're doing to help firefighters and crews around the world. We're going to definitely step up to this task and do something about it. And I want everyone to stay safe on the fire grounds. And remember, we must focus on our crews more closely. Thank you again, and stay safe on the fire grounds.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Spain, and I'm the managing editor here at International Firebuyer. So thank you, Mike, for another powerful session of Firebuyer Live. This is your second time speaking with us. So why Firebuyer Live?
Well, you're welcome, Rebecca. Thank you for having me. Firebuyer Live is something that is so important to the fire service. I think it's such a great idea to do a virtual show because of the day and age, the way things are, the times. It's so hard to travel across the world and speak at so many different conferences. And I think your platform and what you're doing is commendable, because this is needed in the fire world. Definitely, we need to get this much needed information out to firefighters everywhere.
Thank you. So going back to your presentation, why is there so little awareness around these issues that firefighters do face?
Well, we have so many issues in the fire service that we're facing now. Our health and safety is number one. That's what we're trained to do. We're trained to have our safety on the forefront, because if we go down, no one's going to be there to help. So bringing this information and knowledge to crews around the world is crucial, because we need to know this information and we need to know how to protect our crews and watch them closely.
And what advice would you give firefighters facing these issues, particularly across the US, but also further afield? And how can we enforce this in training?
Well, one of the big problems is budgets, manpower, and knowledge. This is the big problem with line of duty deaths and injuries. So this is what we need to enforce, and this is what we need to work on. Information is the big key. And what we're doing right now is to get as much information as we can about firefighter safety, line of duty deaths, which needs to be brought up, by the way, in training. We need to add this curricular to every training exercise. We need to bring in and focus on a line of duty death, so we can learn, we can prevent it from happening in the future, and we can never forget. This is so important. This is going to help us to prevent something from happening in the future. We want to learn from mistakes, we want to learn from injuries, and we want to learn from fatalities.
Thank you, Mike, for spending another session with us. We really appreciate your time. And if anybody wants to reach out and ask more questions or see how they can get involved, please reach out to Mike directly on the platform or email him. Thank you.